So I just picked up a few boxes of this Delicious plant-based chicken. Now this is a dry mix of some wheat protein, vegetable proteins, methylcellulose, and some flavoring. All you have to do is add 240 milliliters of water and 1 tablespoon or 20 grams of any oil, and supposedly you have an incredible plant-based chicken. Now from what I'm reading, Delicious, or whatever, however you pronounce the name, they made this stuff taste mild enough to where you can flavor it up, season it however you want on your own. So I thought, based on the ingredients, we should be able to easily turn this into anything. I'm gonna use this base to make chicken, beef, and then we're also gonna see if we can turn this into a nice tasting pork out of this one chicken mix. Now I will say that these proteins that they are using in here look shockingly close to that vegetarian like pork fiber that I bought from the Asian market that one time. I did a video on that. I'll leave that linked in the description below, where I was using something, I mean, incredibly familiar. And now Delicious also says in their marketing that this is like a very, very plain chicken, but I'll tell you, the smell smells exactly like my chicken broth mix. This stuff right here, this vegetarian chicken broth, I mean, it's identical. So I think what they're doing is they're taking that stretched vegetarian protein that you can find in some Asian markets, and they're just adding some of the chicken broth flavor mix. I think this is an incredibly simple product. Okay, so this is sat for 20 minutes. It's definitely gotten to a point to where it's malleable and it's firmed up. So I'm just gonna make kind of like nuggets. I'm not gonna bread them. I have just a pan back here with some oil on it. Throw them in, we're gonna fry them up real quick and see if they taste like chicken. So there's still quite a bit of that chicken left. And now I just made 6 of these chicken nugs here, these chicken nuggets. But these look pretty good. They feel pretty bouncy, and there's actually some like juice in them. These smell a little bit like chicken, but they browned up on the outside. Incredibly mild flavor. Incredibly mild, but I could totally see how this would be a chicken. I could totally see how that would be like a good chicken replacement. Really not that bad, pretty dang good. You know that chicken flavoring broth that they have in here? They didn't use a whole lot of it because it is mild. It's gonna really help us turn this into like a beef and a pork. So in the small bowl, we're gonna do our beef mixture. Now for the beef mixture, we're gonna start off with some beetroot powder. I'm gonna add about 3 grams of beetroot powder to this. I'm gonna add about 2 grams of cocoa powder, about 2 grams of the mushroom extract or mushroom powder, and about 1 gram of black pepper. Not even 1 gram, we're gonna do a half gram or maybe like a quarter of a teaspoon, not much. Now this is our dry mixture. We're just gonna give this a nice mix. Now at this point, I'm gonna do about 15 grams of soy sauce, about 2 grams of blackstrap molasses. I'm using blackstrap because blackstrap is very irony tasting. It's actually very rich in iron too. And then the same thing, about 20, we're gonna do a little bit more oil than we did for the chicken, so about 25 grams oil. Let's just give this a nice little mix. And now let's do 240 milliliters of water. Mix that up so everything's evenly distributed when you pour it in. And then we're just gonna give this a nice mix through while we pour it in. Make sure everything's nice and coated, and you're gonna see this quickly turn into that beef color. I think this is gonna be pretty dang good. I mean, I think this is gonna be Impossible Burger level good, honestly. Now, if you have any of the marbling fat that I've made in the past in your freezer, you can go ahead and shred that up, throw that in here. I think that's gonna work really well with this. But for now, I just wanna taste this just to see if we get like a nice solid beef chunk. Like if I actually like really compress it into like a nice patty, is this gonna be very, almost steak-like, I'm hoping. Okay, so we're gonna let the beef sit aside for about 20 minutes. Let's see if we could turn this into like a pork type of flavoring. Now I want kind of like a sweet pork, something that's kind of like sweet and fatty. So I have some ideas. I think it's gonna be pretty easy to do that because of how mild this stuff is. Now again, I don't know if I've said this, but this video is not sponsored. I just literally saw this online. I've been advertised this stuff for quite a while, and I really wanted to try it out and see how good it was. As far as a chicken replacement that you can make at home with no preservatives or anything like that, this is pretty dang good. I will say, so far I'm a fan of it. Now, if we can change these flavors a little bit, then I'm a mega fan of it. And I think it might be kind of cool for everybody to just, you know, if you can't get methylcellulose and you can't get those things, I get a lot of people that talk about they can't find all my ingredients. You might be able to just order this and use this as a base for a lot of your plant-based meats. So for the pork, we're just gonna use a little bit of beet powder, not much. I'm only gonna use about 1 gram. We're gonna use just quite a bit less than what we did on the beef. We're gonna add about 1 gram of smoked paprika. That's all of our dry ingredients. I'm just gonna kind of let that mix up. And then we're gonna do about 15 grams of soy sauce, 15 grams maple syrup, 30 grams oil, and 240 milliliters of water. And then let's pour in and mix. Now I'm also gonna drop in just a touch of liquid smoke. I didn't really think about that because I was gonna use the smoked paprika, but I just wanna give this just a touch of smokiness, just a real light touch beyond the paprika. Now these both look really good, the beef and the pork. This pork looks very porky. I think this is gonna be pretty nice. Okay, so it's been about 20 minutes. Let's cook these things up. The pork mixture looks really good. I'm gonna try to press like a really firm pork patty. Throw this guy on the pan. So for this beef one, I'm actually gonna make it pretty thin. Let's just see what happens with that. So I'm gonna do the same thing. Okay, so the first up, the one that's first here is gonna be the pork patty. Now, tell me that is not meaty as can be. Super, super meaty. Let's give it a try and see if this tastes like pork. Huh. I mean, yeah. We nailed the pork flavor. The pork flavor is better than the chicken flavor. Now here is our burger, or our beef. I mean, that looks super beefy. Let's give this a little strip. I mean, look at that in the middle there. Look at that. That, I mean, it's like pink in the middle. That's unbelievable. So let's give the beef a try. Wow. I mean, it's just incredible. It has a better texture than your basic TVP chunks, where it's like something like this might actually be a better choice to make a better like plant-based burger. Or if you wanted to make like a grilled pork patty, I imagine these would grill pretty good. You could throw this on like a banh mi or something. I bet you people would be losing their mind. So like I said, this isn't sponsored. I'm not gonna drop any links just because it's not sponsored. But heck yeah, I mean really, I think if you were to just pick up one of these boxes, you could really make a lot of different plant-based meats. Delicieux, I don't know how you pronounce it. They really did nail that texture. That texture is tough to come by. Baby.
Very good.
It is very steak-like.
Yeah, both of them are delicious.
You want more?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, you can have whichever one you want.